Good morning, boys and girls. I have the new book that we started to read. We read chapter 1. The story that we're reading is Narwhal on a Sunny Night. It's a Magic Tree House story. And Narwhal on a Sunny Night. We read chapter 1. We looked at the contents. And the first one was Greenland. Second chapter is Ice Everywhere. There are quite a few chapters, and we don't have very many days. So what I'd like to do is, I think I'll read this every day. So let's get started. Chapter 2, Ice Everywhere. Sunlight shone through the treehouse window. The sound of splashing water came from outside. "Hey, it doesn't feel that cold," said Annie. "Maybe because we're wearing these heavy woolen clothes," said Jack. Their summer clothes had changed into wool outfits. Now they had on thick wool coats, wool shirts, wool caps, wool mittens, and wool pants. Even Jack's backpack had changed into a wool bag. His notebook and pencil were inside. "You were right," said Annie, looking out the window. "I don't see much green here." Jack looked out with her. The treehouse had landed on a rocky shore of an ocean bay. Across the water were brown mountains with snow-white peaks. The air felt crisp and clean. The seagulls swooped low over sparkling blue seawater. The sun shined on sheets of ice. "Ready to explore?" said Annie. "Yep," said Jack. Jack slipped their map back inside the Greenland book. He put the book and Morgan's rhyme in the wool bag. Then he and Annie climbed out the window. They stepped onto a pebbly shore. Pebbles are tiny little rocks. "Oh man, ice everywhere," said Jack. The ocean bay was filled with ice. Small, flat icebergs were floating in the middle of the bay. Others were close to shore. Shore, we've talked about, is the edge where the water meets the land. "The water must be freezing," said Annie. Jack took off a glove and dipped his hand into the seawater. "Ow!" he yelped. "It's so cold it hurts." Jack dried his hand and put his glove back on. Then he took out the Greenland book. He read aloud from the first page. "For millions of years, Greenland has been mostly covered with ice. In the 21st century, experts worried that the world's climate is warming and the ice is melting. Scientists from different countries live at research stations in Greenland to study the effects of climate change." "Now I remember what my teacher told us," said Jack. "Melting ice in the Arctic can cause sea levels to rise and lead to disaster." "That's serious," said Annie. "I hope we meet some scientists." "Me too," said Jack. "I wonder who else lives here." He found a section of the book called People of Greenland. He read, "Experts believe that people first occupied Greenland about 4,500 years ago. Today, 56,000 people live on the island. Most of them are known as the Inuit." You say Inuit. Whenever they do this inside parentheses, it's explaining how to say the word. "Inuit," said Annie. "Like the Inuit seal hunter we met on our other Arctic trip. He was great." "Yeah, but I don't see any signs of Inuit people in this area," said Jack. He looked around at the cold, barren landscape. "It feels pretty lonely." "Wait, look at that," said Annie. She pointed to a group of small, silver-gray creatures resting on an iceberg. "I think those are seals," said Jack. "They're so little and cute," said Annie. Jack found a chapter on the seals in the book. He read, "Greenland has 3 kinds of ice seals. Ringed seals are the smallest." "Okay, they must be ringed seals," said Jack. Suddenly the seals let out high-pitched barks. They spun their heads from side to side. Then they slipped off the ice and disappeared into the water. "I think we scared them," said Jack. A swooshing sound came from across the bay. "Not us," cried Annie. "A whale!" A huge gray whale was skimming across the water. A sharp burst of air spurted out the blowhole on top of its head. "Whoa," said Jack. The whale leapt into the air. Then it crashed down with a giant splash. It dove under the sea. "A humpback! That was a humpback," said Annie. I saw the bump on its back. Humpback whales sing. They sing a different song every year. How do you know that? Said Jack. I love whales. I wrote a report on them, said Annie. Great, said Jack. He looked up whales in the index of their book. He found the right page and read aloud. Greenland's waters are filled with whales. 15 different kinds can be seen along its coasts and in the ocean inlets. They include humpback whales, orcas, narwhals, beluga whales. Wait, more whales, cried Annie. A bunch more. I know, said Jack, not looking up from the book. There are 15 kinds, he kept reading. Fin whales, blue whales. Stop! I mean, more in real life, shouted Annie. Look up, Jack. Jack looked up. He couldn't believe his eyes. About a dozen whales were swimming in the bay now. They had sleek gray backs. Each had a long tusk jutting from its round head. Narwhals, shouted Annie. Real narwhals. Okay. Oh, that's a good start. Narwhals. That's the name on the book, so that must be an important event that we're seeing in our second chapter, the first of this week. And they have this. Some people used to call narwhals the unicorns of the sea. Now, I don't know about that, but I do know that they would be an interesting thing to see. All right, boys and girls. I hope you were noticing some of the wonderful language in there, and they were describing the land that they saw and the wool, the clothes that they had on. If you have good descriptions, good adjectives in your reading, in the books that you're reading, then you can see or feel or hear or sometimes even smell the things that you are reading about. And so that's what I want you to pay attention to. I want you to pay attention and see if the books that we're reading have good adjectives in them. All right, good descriptions. All right, have a great day, and look for that in your own reading, and then let me know about it. All right, talk to you later.